let's talk about the 7 reasons why Pete Buttigieg is not a progressive. Number 3, his problems with minority communities is very significant. So first off, he said a really stupid thing that as a politician, you should be aware of. And as a presidential candidate, you don't make mistakes like this. And he said this in 2015, I believe, but he should have known that this was going to come up. So according to a transcript of the speech reproduced in the South Bend Voice, he said, "We need to take both those things seriously." He said, "For the simple and profound reason that all lives matter." So I can give you guys context, came after Buttigieg demoted the city's first black police chief, Daryl Boykins, and fired the police office communications director in the wake of a federal investigation into whether they had secretly recorded fellow officers. Boykins sued the city, arguing that he was demoted based on his race. And all 3 of those police chiefs who have served have since been white. So it doesn't look good. It doesn't seem good. And the case goes a lot further. But on top of that is the fact that the city, South Bend's population is 26% African American and 14% Hispanic, but the entire police force is only 5% black and 5% Hispanic. This, as someone who's lived in places where, like, I've lived near St. Louis and Sanford, where both Trayvon Martin and Michael Brown was the other one I was going to say, where there was a lot of racial disparity. Like the law enforcement officers were white and the victims were often black and the community surrounding them were black. And in these places, when you have that, it really doesn't elicit trust, and it kind of pits these 2 people against each other. But to say something as like vapid as all lives matter, it's not smart. It just shows that you don't have an ability to figure it out. Because if you know anything about the phrase, all lives matter is a contradictory message to the Black Lives Matter. And Black Lives Matter, of course, is there to emphasize the fact that Black people specifically are dying at the hands of law enforcement officers, and, violence through police officers has increased. And it's there to highlight the fact that it doesn't seem like these lives matter at all. So they're telling you Black Lives Matter, all lives matter, is basically kind of glossing over that and just saying, well, all lives matter. Well, yes, all lives matter, but obviously to some, Black lives don't matter as much. So that's the whole point, and he should have known better. Another thing regarding his kind of tension with his people, although he's advocated for workers' rights and highlighted his commitment to creating new jobs and economic opportunities, the black and white gap in wealth in South Bend is extremely wide. African Americans make about half as much as the white residents in South Bend, and unemployment rate is almost twice as high. So it's kind of one of those things where if you are the mayor, like Mayor Garcetti in LA, who wanted to run for president, right? But he didn't because Kamala. If you're the mayor and your town is completely having racial tensions, and you have people that are distrusting the police officers and people in charge, and you have this whole thing going on in your community, and you're trying to run for president, I just don't get it. Because if you can't do that locally, how are you going to do it nationally? How are you going to take on this type of international relations in addition to the international efforts that need to happen, right? So to me, this is just one of the things that really threw him out. And I also wanted to talk about how this city council woman tried to run for public office because Buttigieg did this whole redevelopment program where he cleared homes. And while he was doing that, a lot of people complained because he pretty much gentrified the towns. So during his very first term, Buttigieg cleared about 1,000 vacant homes in 1,000 days. but he made it seem like, oh, it's revitalizing the community. It's taking away the shitty downtown neighborhoods, and it's going to make everything safer. It's going to make everything prettier. But locals thought it was gentrification, and that's what it sounds like to me living in LA. This is what happens all the time. Businesses do this all the time, big business. And police chief now acknowledged that the city was accused of clearing properties without regard for those living in them. So it's one of those things where he's saying, oh, I'm going to be friendly to communities of color. I'm going to, support the working class. Yet, he's not working class. He never has been. Thank you guys for watching. My name is Fiorella Isabel. You can find me on Twitter, Fiorella_IM. Thanks for watching. CONVO out.